We have this one word problem related to subtraction and addition of uh, fractions. So in this question we are given a piece of wire that is 7 or 8 meter. This is the length of the wire, and it has been broken into two pieces. Okay, so a wire has been broken into two pieces. One piece was 1/4 meter long. How long is the other piece? So of course, when you have broken your wire into two pieces, then the length of one piece has been given and the length of other piece is being asked for. Simple. If let's suppose that we have this wire, okay, and the total length of this wire is what? 7 or 8 meter, and somewhere here it has been broken, and this part is what? 1/4 meter, and they are asking for this portion. They're asking for the length of this piece, okay, and you have to find the length of this piece. Now clearly we can see that if I add this piece plus this piece, okay, so let's say that we have this one piece, so it should be 1/4 meter, right, and plus let's say this is x meter, okay, or let's mark it by like this, that we don't know, it's a blank. So plus this blank should be equal to what? This whole length, this length plus this length should be equal to 7/8. Okay, no need for writing units here. Now 1/4 plus this blank, that is the length of this one, should be equal to 7/8. Now whenever you are doing such addition or subtraction of fractions, always we know that we try to convert our fractions into like fractions. That makes arithmetic operations very easier. So how will you here make these two fractions are like fractions? So clearly the final length of the wire is 7/8 meter. So in order to make these two fractions are like fractions, so that our arithmetic operation of whether addition or subtraction becomes easier, you have to make their fractions also equal to this one. Then you will convert your fraction into a like fraction. So if I multiply the numerator, that is 1 with 2 and 4 with 2. So will it become like fraction to this one? Of course, because this will now become what? This will become 2/8. Okay, so if I do this, then this will be 2/8 plus, now since we have to find this one, and let's suppose that this fraction is, let's say, x/8. We are assuming that this is also a fraction, and if I also consider this as a like fraction, that is if I make x/8 and then equal to 7/8. Now you would be saying that, hey, why we have left this numerator as x? The purpose is that when you finally get a final number of fraction in terms of 7 or 8, so if I am adding 2/8, then if I add a like fraction to this one, our main purpose is to deal with like fractions. And like fractions have nothing to do with their numerator. They have everything to do with their denominators. If I have converted this particular fraction into its respective equivalent fraction and making it a like fraction to this one, then I'll also assume that this fraction is also a like fraction, that is its denominator will also be equal to 8, because like fraction has to do everything with denominator and nothing to do with numerator. So this is 8. Then clearly two like fractions when added having their denominator as 8, will also give the final fraction as 8. Now you can see that is 2 over 8 plus x over 8. These two are like fractions, and therefore to add two like fractions means what? Write the denominators and then 2 plus x, that is equal to 7 over 8. That it should be equal to 7 over 8. Now clearly, what number x should be, whole number x should be in a way that this should become what? 7. So if it is 2, and if I add 5 to it, then this will become 7 over 8, right? So x should be equal to 5. Therefore, if x is equal to 5, what this fraction will be? This fraction will be 5 over 8, because we found x as 5. Therefore, if I put 5 here, then we'll get the fraction as 5 over 8. So the length of this particular piece is what? 5 over 8. Fine. This was one way. What can be another way to solve this problem? So another way could be like if this was 7 over 8, or let me explain you with a separate analogy that if you have let's say what, you have 10 rupees. If you have, I'm just making an analogy that if you have rupees 10, and if someone takes away rupees 4, rupees 4, then what are you left with? So clearly 10 minus 4 is equal to 6. This is what you are left with. So if this is 7 or 8, and if this is 1 over 4, then what are you left with? So clearly this is 1 over 4, and whatever fraction you will get is what will represent this particular piece of wire, right? Equivalent to what we discussed here. So if this is 7 over 8 minus 1 over 4, then clearly if I convert this into its equivalent fraction, making it a like fraction, or simply first step should be in dealing with such unlike fractions, that is when we subtract unlike fractions, we know that the first step is LCM. Okay, now since LCM of 4 and 8, why we do that? So that we can make these two fractions as like fractions. Now if I take LCM of 4 and 8, if you look at 4 is a factor of 8. Since 4 is a factor of 8, therefore LCM of 4 and 8 will give you, LCM will be as 4 only. Now second step will be to convert these two fractions into their equivalent fractions such that they become like fractions having the denominator equal to this 4, that is LCM. So for the first one, 7 over 8, no need to this will not be 4, I'm sorry. Since LCM of 4 and 8, and 4 is a factor of 8, your LCM will be 8. If there are two numbers A and B, and if A is a factor of B, then LCM of A and B will be B. Okay, that's a simple concept. So LCM of 4 and 8 is 8. Now since this fraction has already its denominator as 8, that is equal to LCM, therefore there is no need to convert this fraction further into its equivalent fraction. It's already, it's okay to deal with it. So this is 7 or 8, and if I convert this particular fraction into its equivalent fraction in a way that the equivalent fraction has a denominator equal to this LCM, that is 8, so by what number I should multiply 4 with to make it 8? So multiply it with 2. Now since we have multiplied the denominator with 2, we will also multiply our numerator with 2, and this will be 2 over 8. Now the third step will be 7 over 8 minus 2 over 8, and clearly these two are not now like fractions, therefore this will be, denominator will be 8, and 7 minus 2 will give you 5 or 8, this one and this one. We can see that these two answers are same whether you go through this process or this process. Here we have performed addition, like adding the two pieces should be equal to this one, and here we perform, I explained you using an analogy here, this one, that is if you are having rupees 10 and then if someone takes away rupees 4, what you're left with. So if this is 7 or 8, someone takes away 1 over 4, what you're left with. So these are the two ways to solve the